Welcome to the circular God counter-paradox. This video proposes a solution to the 800-year-old paradox of the stone by responding with the counter-paradox of equal measure. The paradox of the stone represents a logical trap that challenges God with a very simple question. Can God create a rock so heavy that he cannot lift it? So is it possible for God to meet this challenge? Let's find out. So what exactly does the stone paradox do? It brings into question the existence of an omnipotent God. The question is based on a previously understood statement, a premise that an omnipotent God can do anything. When the question is asked, can God create a rock so heavy that he cannot lift it, this traps the responder into providing a binary yes or no response. There seems to only be two options. 1. God cannot create a rock that he cannot lift. 2. God creates a rock that he cannot lift. Both assumptions produce a God of limited power in that he is either unable to make the rock, or is rendered unable to lift it. We are seemingly left with only one conclusion. God is not omnipotent. The roots of the omnipotence paradox can be traced back to as early as the 12th century, where it was addressed by Averroes, who often wrote of logic, Aristotelian and Islamic philosophy and theology. The question was later addressed by St. Thomas Aquinas, who argued against the merits of the question, and in more recent times the omnipotence paradox has been addressed by modern theologians such as Alvin Plantinga. Before we offer our solution, let's define omnipotence. Omnipotence, literally, all power, is power without limits. Monotheistic religions generally attribute omnipotence only to God. In the philosophies of Western monotheistic religions, omnipotence is listed as one of God's characteristics among many, including omniscience, omnipresence, and benevolence. Based on this, we also need to define omnipresence. In Western theism, omnipresence is roughly described as the ability to be present everywhere at the same time, referring to an unbounded or universal presence. Omnipresence means minimally that there is no place to which God's knowledge and power do not extend. It is related to the concept of ubiquity, the ability to be everywhere or in many places at once. This includes unlimited temporal presence. And lastly, let's define ubiquity. Ubiquity is defined as the state or capacity of being everywhere, especially at the same time, omnipresence. In theology, ubiquity represents the omnipresence of God Christ. So how can God's omnipotence possibly prevail? By using the tools of omnipotence. Paradoxical questions, by design, cannot be answered or solved. They can only be resolved by developing a specific counter-paradoxical response. Our counter-paradox must have the ability to nullify the original stone paradox by way of a paradox of equal power. What are the items we will need to get started? These are the only items referenced within the stone paradox question: God, omnipotence, rock, weight, surface, space, movement. So are we ready now? Yes. Great, let's get started. Introducing the circular God counter-paradox, specifically designed to nullify the paradox of the stone. Step 1. We already have space, so we need to add a surface for which to place our very heavy rock. We'll call this plane B. Step 2. God will now place a rock with a weight sufficient to challenge his omnipotent ability to lift it on plane B. Step 3. In this step we have our omnipotent God present on plane B and struggling to lift the weight of the very heavy rock he has created. Step 4. We now have a surface known as plane A placed directly below plane B, where God's omnipotence is currently being tested. Step 5. Using the omnipotent power of ubiquity, we now also have God existing on plane A, where he is actively lifting the very heavy rock he created, and himself on plane B. And all done so at the exact same moment. So what can we conclude? The answer to the paradox of the stone is yes. The powers of omnipotence allow God the ability to create a rock so heavy that he cannot lift it, and at the exact same time, lift the heavy rock. Now I'm sure that you probably have some questions regarding this solution. Here are some typical challenges offered to the circular God counter-paradox, followed by the proper response. Objection. God is technically lifting the rock from plane A, so there is no rock present in the counter-paradox that he cannot lift. Response. The rock that God cannot lift is located on plane B. Objection. Then there does exist a rock that God cannot lift on plane B. Response. The rock on plane B is being raised by God from plane A. Objection. Then there does exist a single point in time where God is not lifting the rock on plane B. Response. There exists the exact same moment in time where God is lifting the rock on plane A. Objection. God cannot be in two places at the same time. That's not fair. Response. God is ubiquitous. Ubiquity is an accepted characteristic of omnipotence. Objection. It is logically impossible to be lifting a rock at the same time that you are not lifting the same rock. Response. A being that is not omnipotent and ubiquitous would not be able to accomplish this task. However, God is omnipotent and omnipresent, therefore it is possible. Objection. You have not answered the question. You have merely created a larger paradox. Response. There is no size association with a paradox. All requirements of the original question have been fully resolved within the circular God counter-paradox. Objection. A paradox cannot neutralize another paradox. Response. Demonstrate where the circular God counter-paradox has failed to neutralize the original paradox. Objection. This counter-paradox does not neutralize all omnipotence paradoxical questions. Response. This counter-paradox was specifically designed to address the paradox of the stone. A different omnipotence question would require a specifically designed counter-response. But what if we reword the question? What if we asked, can God create a rock so heavy that he cannot lift it, or the plane that it is on? Let's see. Step 6. A new surface is created called plane D, which is floating in space. Step 7. The original process of the circular God counter-paradox is placed inside a contained universe, which we will call universe A. We then place universe A on the surface of plane D. Step 8. Using omnipresence once again, God is now present on plane D, where he is attempting to lift universe A, which contains everything used in the original counter-paradox. Step 9. We now add an additional plane below plane D that we call plane C. Step 10. God once again uses omnipresence to simultaneously exist on plane C, where we now have God lifting God on plane D, along with universe A, which holds everything that is taking place in the original counter-paradox. What if we reword the question once more? What if we ask, can God create a rock so heavy that he cannot lift it, or the plane that it is on, or the universe it is in? Let's see what answer God has to offer. Step 11. Once again, a new plane is created in space that we will call plane F, which will serve as a new surface. Step 12. Universe A, planes A, B, C and D, our ubiquitous God and the heavy rock are all placed inside universe B. Universe B is then placed on plane F, which is currently floating in space. Step 13. Using the power of omnipresence, God makes himself exist on plane F, where he is attempting to lift universe B, which contains universe A and the original counter-paradox solution. Step 14. One more plane is created in space called plane E, which is placed directly below plane F. Step 15. Using ubiquity, God becomes present on plane E, where he is lifting plane F, God, the contents of universe B, universe A, plane B, God within both universes and the very heavy rock, and all at the exact same moment. The same outcome can be infinitely achieved by placing the entire circular God counter-paradox formula inside universe C and infinitely repeating the process. This same process can be applied to match all stone paradox modifications, no matter what level of regression is offered. So what is our conclusion regarding the stone paradox? The paradox of the stone has been nullified. For this point forward, any time the stone paradox is proposed, it can be quickly countered with the circular God counter-paradox. It is notable that this 800-year-old stone paradox questioning God's omnipotence is able to be so easily resolved by way of a simple stick figure drawing. Thank you for viewing the circular God counter-paradox solution to the paradox of the stone.